Welcome to episode 14 of A Very Adventure Vodcast. This week we will be discussing season 4.2, episode 3, Every Which Way But Zeus.
Yay.
Yay!
It was good.
You didn't expect me to nail it, did you?
No, not really. So we wanted to start off with a disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen season 4.2, if you haven't seen season 4, if you're behind on your Venture Brothers episodes, you need to catch up.
Run, not walk away.
Yeah.
So let's just jump into it. The title of this week's episode is a reference to a Clint Eastwood film, Every Which Way But Zeus, that was made in 1978 and stars a Clint Eastwood and an orangutan, in which Clint Eastwood is a trucker / prize fighter. So I'm guessing the prize fighter is the part that works with our story.
So this episode was written by Doc Hammer. Duh. There were feelings involved. And
maybe some crying.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Nothing.
Yeah, so there was lots of character development and, you know, all the great monologues and stuff that we love. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
We missed the tenderness a little.
Yeah, we did. We missed the tender moments. There's been a lot of action so far, like super action-packed episodes. So it was a nice little feelings episode.
It was still action-packed. They've been doing this thing where I noticed they went from having like 2 plots running at one time to having 3.
Yeah.
But
it's awesome.
Still manages to work in some crying.
So it starts off with scientists, villains, heroes, henchmen, and sidekick types being abducted by a guy who's claiming to be Zeus. And he is kind of wreaking havoc on the super science world.
Mm-hmm. So this Zeus person, who is like mysterious, apparently just wants to watch these people that he's collected fight to the death, kind of like gladiator style. So they're like locked in a stable.
Like the Rishiari.
Yeah, there's a lot of gladiator references.
Well, 21 was very clear to distinguish between Roman and Greek gladiators because somebody accidentally called them Roman. He was like, no, these are closer to the Greek. It was very historically correct. And then Shore Leave called him out and was like, and that right there is why you'll never be cool.
Which is so
awesome.
Astute, I'm going to say.
Also, nerd power forever.
But 21 is still kicking butt and taking names. He won, I'm going to say, 14 fights.
So, on a side note, yay, Ghost Robot. He was in action, not for that long. It was kind of short-lived, but he was he was living inside the head of a robot, and he had this like mini plot to kill Zeus with 21, and instead 21 slayed him.
It was very Full Metal Alchemist. Kind of.
Yeah. So, I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Nerd. Okay. And so Billy and White were also forced to fight, but they get, distracted from the actual hand-to-hand combat with their actual bickering. Is it weird that they me and you kind of remind me of them sometimes? In our bickery moments?
As long as I'm White.
We don't like White.
You can be Billy.
Alright, I'm the brains.
Because he's a ginger.
And the brains. Speaking of Billy and White, it's really funny because Zero and Zeus are trying to figure out their relationship, and so they're like, the villain,
and the hero.
White,
yeah.
and then like they were like, what? I'm not under him, da da da, and the other one, and then they're like, pause, and he's like, the hero, Billy the quiz boy, and underneath him, and he's like, and so
they got really mad. Yeah.
But they should just be flattered they were even invited.
I mean, Doc Hammer. Doc Venture wasn't invited. So, I mean, obviously he's not making major contributions to the super science world. I think we can say that safely.
It's sad when you're beat out with Billy and White, let's just say.
Yeah, it's a sad day. But yeah, it's really funny that White is sort of accused of doing nothing and by Billy, which is true.
Yeah.
I mean, he what does he do?
What does he bring to the table?
I think that he's just like people wouldn't take Billy seriously if it was just him walking around trying to do things because of all of his maladies. So I think White is kind of like the which is so sad to say, but, like, the more,
The
like...
PR department?
Yeah, which is weird, because he's, like, this albino 80s, you know, like, with the crazy haircut and etc.
The Jack is going to come back eventually, and then he'll be right where he wants them. Well, the abductions are eventually publicized in Modern Enemy Monthly and Super Science Magazine, which I don't think we had heard about before.
No, but Modern Enemy Monthly was the one that Dr. Girlfriend was on the cover of.
Exactly.
Or was she Dr. Mrs. the Monarch when she was on?
Yeah. I think she was in her Dr. Mrs. Monarch costume when she was on.
But Dr. Venture refuses, and he claims that he's such a major figure in the super science world that he couldn't hide him. They'd find him anyways.
Yeah.
So, of course, Sergeant Hatred suggests that they hide him in a hamper. So, I don't really know how awesome that plan was. I make words up. And so Dr. Venture says, you can't collect scientists and not have a Rusty Venture on your mantle. Which is really funny. Because they weren't looking for him at all. And then a little fun fact.
Or sad.
During that scene, they have Hank, like, with his hands over his ears. He's doing earmuffs. And he's humming John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name is my name, too. Whenever we go out, the people always shout, there goes John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. Da, 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 da.
So, the saddest scene I think I've ever seen in the Venture Brothers is Rusty sitting blindfolded and outside waiting for his captors holding a cardboard sign, which again looked like Comic Sans to me, saying, Dr. Thaddeus Venture, Rusty from the Rusty Venture Show.
And even Hatred and the boys are like, this is sad. So in order to save Dr. Venture from abduction and mostly humiliation, Hank, Dean, and Sergeant Hatred kidnap him, faux kidnap him. They hide him in their basement or somewhere on the Venture compound. And then they, like, mask their identities and their voices with Optimus Prime and Purple Hulk masks.
I think Purple Hulk was just like a Hulk knockoff, their way of not getting sued.
Right, probably. So, and they were the kind that do, like, the voices, and then when they talk, they have, like, the robot voices. Yeah. And, and a Teddy Ruxpin doll. Which, by the way, I had one of those when I was little.
You know, I couldn't tell from all the times that you were screaming Teddy Ruxpin as the episode was playing.
It was awesome! I love the Teddy Ruxpin, I guess, a cameo. I loved it. It was awesome. And also, Teddy Ruxpin was, like, always, he was that one doll that was, like, kind of creepy, but at the same time, you loved him. It was like, I love my Teddy Ruxpin, but it scares me he's living in the closet.
Also, I don't want to anger him.
Yeah, I don't want him to piss him off, because you never know when Teddy Ruxpin's going to, like, spin his head around and start vomiting pea soup. The whole idea to kidnap Dr. Venture was Hank's idea, which was really cute.
Like, he actually stepped up and tried to...
Well, and I think he was, like, trying to save some of his dad's pride.
But it's just cute that he's the one that was like, hey...
I have an idea. And Hatred's like, I know where you're going, and I love it.
So, at the same time, I guess our third plot that's happening is that, in order to solve, like, the mystery, a Code White operation is enacted.
So Scooby-Doo.
What?
In order to solve the mystery.
The OSI gathers with a bunch of different unions of villainy and superhero-dom, I guess you'd say, to have, like, a sesh on brainstorming how to figure out who, the Zeus guy is, other than the Greek god, and...
I think they called it a think tank at one point.
Yeah, think tank. So anyway, you got Sphinx, you got OSI, you got the Guild, the Revenge Society, all representing, so...
and working together.
Albeit, crankily. So, of course... The butt of the joke is the Revenge Society, because Dragoon says, actually it's Dragoon or the other one.
It's one of the two.
I know. It's a bad that
together.
I know. It's like watching Word. No matter how many times I look it up, I always forget.
Keenan and Kel.
Yeah. So Keenan and Kel were like, you have like 5 villains in your joke of a society. You have no business here. No business.
So Watch and Ward are making fun of Dr. Impossible, calling him a good guy, which is like such a burn.
Mr. Good Guy.
Mr. Good Guy, yeah. In this world, such a burn. So and he's like, I dig the little mask. So you went evil. Never smelled that happening. It was really funny.
I love them.
I know, me too. They're really fun.
I kind of dig the little mask. I also thought it was kind of cool that the OSI knows about Sphinx. I thought they were like an undercover.
Yeah.
Op.
What I also liked was that despite the 5 members of the Revenge Society, they have enough people that they lost an IT guy to Zeus and his fighting ring. It's like a pimple fighting ring, like like a cockfighting underground black market situation.
We were hobbled. They were.
So everyone, when they're at this like brainstorming convention, for lack of a better term for it, they had to undergo an experimental powers inhibitor to make sure that they weren't like using their superpowers to be dangerous to everyone else. And side effects include nausea, headaches, insomnia, constipation, oily discharge, severe deja vu, stiffness in joints, blurred vision or temporary blindness, loss of life, diarrhea, thrombosis, or rectal bleeding.
First take, that was awesome. So, to be more specific, this roundtable consisted of Brock Sampson, Hunter, Gathers, Phantom Limb, Dr. Impossible, and Dragoon / Red Mantle, and some other guys, including a unicorn guy. Gee whiz, he was neat.
And that shark guy.
Yeah, shark guy who Brock slept with the wife of.
And then did some kind of bodily damage to him when he walked in on Brock sleeping with his wife. Brock was like, and I'll take
Broke
you
his
out.
kneecaps.
Right.
Yeah.
And then did he kill him, or he just bloodied him on the table?
On the table. Because he thought he acted like he still had powers, but the inhibitor kicked in.
And he was like, ah!
God, we're so good at reenactments.
Yeah. It's kind of a forte of ours.
I know. So the summit is kind of administered and headed by General Traster, who is kind of just like a shining figure in this episode. He really, is great, and people really been showing love for him, so. He's
very much like a Confederate Army commander.
Andy McPhee.
Yeah.
And,
What?
So, like I said, they exchanged kind of like a lot of great sass, but never really made any headway, other than sort of figuring out that it was Captain Sunshine-ish, and then kind of showing up like the cavalry at the end,
And they thought that Captain Sunshine was actually, they thought that Boy Wonder was Captain Sunshine. But they had it all backwards and inside out. It was bad. Meanwhile, 21 talks out the solution to kill Zeus with 24.
Secretly.
Without talking out loud, which was kind of weird. He was like meditating about it, like channeling him or something,
but whenever we see them talking, he's speaking.
Yeah.
So
so this is the first time that it's like completely internal, and Shore Leave was like, "Hey buddy, I got a guy dying in my arms. What are you doing?" And he's like, "I was talking to a friend."
Yeah.
So, side note, some characters that meet for the first time, Shore Leave and 21 have never met before. So that was a new coming together of peeps.
We're really enjoying how this has been a couple episodes in a row where two people who haven't met before get to meet, and
it's kind of fun.
Love happens afterwards.
Sass. Usually just sass.
Sass, a little bit of bonding / repelling. So Billy and White eventually are enlisted to help free the other captives, while 21 kind of creates a diversion and takes out Zeus. And however, we find out that Zeus is just like a cardboard cutout who was being acted as by the original Captain Sunshine.
Right.
So at first they thought it was like a projection. They were trying to figure out, who he was, and then they realized it was, Captain Sunshine, the original.
Who actually flies.
Exactly.